talking about the cell cycle today. We'll first learn what is the cell cycle actually. What does this term mean? That is the cell cycle. Now, the cell cycle is the complex sequence of events by which cells grow and divide. Now, any living cell, any living cell has the fundamental responsibility to pass on life in the form of genetic information to the other cells, because life exists in the form of cells only, and it is these cells only that can give rise to new cells. So all the molecular events that involve cell growth, duplication of DNA, and finally dividing the cell into two, they are covered under the cell cycle. Now, the division cycle of most cells consists of four coordinated phases or four coordinated processes. If we take a look at it, you'll see that cell cycle involves cell growth, DNA replication, distribution of the duplicated chromosomes to daughter cells, and finally cell division, that is dividing into two and forming two cells. In bacteria, cell growth and DNA replication take place throughout most of the cell cycle, and duplicated chromosomes are distributed to daughter cells in association with the plasma membrane. However, in case of eukaryotes, the cell cycle is more complex and consists of four discrete phases. Cell growth, you'll see it is a continuous process, whereas DNA synthesis occurs only during a specific phase of the cell cycle. Finally, the duplicated or the replicated chromosomes are distributed to daughter nuclei by a complex series of events preceding cell division. Now, progression between these stages of the cell cycle is controlled by a conserved regulatory apparatus which not only coordinates the different events of the cell cycle but also links the cell cycle with extracellular signals that control cell proliferation. Now, uh, you know that cells, in order to divide, they first of all need some stimulus. After, if we talk of an living organism in its adult stage, normally there the cell division in most of the tissues do not take place, right? So they are actually dependent on some stimulus that, if required, it is not like that these cells cannot divide if required, but they have to be stimulated. There must be some stimulus, some signal that allows these cells to divide. Okay, first of all. Then, if we talk of very young tissues or very young cells, then of course, eukaryotic cells also exist in different forms that can have very simple organization to very complex organizations. Now, again, depending upon different type of eukaryotic cells, you'll see that their cell cycle again is dependent upon a number of extracellular signals, okay, that control their proliferation. These extra cellular signals can be different, say some nutrition, or it can be some growth factors. You learn about all this ahead in this lecture, but the point is that the process that a cell is going to divide and completes its cell cycle is again dependent upon a number of extracellular signals. This is because eukaryotes are characterized by different type of cells that are dependent upon one another. So the growth and multiplication of a cell can be dependent or can be regulated by a stimulus from another cell, say for example in terms of the growth factors. Now, let's talk about the phases of the cell cycle. This you must have learned in previous classes also. If you take a look at the eukaryotic cell cycle, you will see that the entire cell cycle is divided into four distinct phases mainly, that is the G1, S, G2 and the M phase, which is represented here by mitosis. And then again, we'll also see that an additional phase called the G0 phase or the quiescent stage of the cell cycle exists, where cells that or tissues where cells have attained their specific size and they are no longer allowed to divide, but still they are metabolically active, they enter into the G0 phase of the cell cycle. So let's talk about the different phases of the cell cycle. So the cell cycle is divided into two basic parts, that is mitosis and the interphase. This M phase or mitosis you can see here in this brown part, and the remaining blue part which comprises of the G1S and the G2 phase together represents the interphase. Now, during the interphase, the cells are metabolically active, that is, they can replicate their DNA, they are involved in transcription and translation. But once a cell enters into the division phase or mitosis, it ceases all its metabolic activities and concentrates on just dividing the duplicated DNA to daughter cells. Okay. Okay, so when a cell enters the division phase, it ceases all its metabolic activities and just concentrates that the duplicated genetic information is properly distributed between the daughter cells. So, if we talk of mitosis, which is called the nuclear division, is the it is the most dramatic stage of the cell cycle, corresponding to the separation of daughter chromosomes and usually ending with cell division, that is called cytokinesis. Actually, this division phase is divided into nuclear and cytoplasmic division, because unless and until the cytoplasm is divided, a cell will never be able to divide into two and form two different cells. So the distribution of chromosomes, duplicated chromosomes, is called nuclear division, and the distribution or division of the cytoplasm is known as cytokinesis. However, if you take a look at the cell cycle, you'll see that the cell spends only a fraction of its total cell cycle into this end phase. Say, for example, if we consider a eukaryotic cell that completes its entire cell cycle in 24 hours, there you'll see that that cell spends only 1 hour in the division phase that involves both nuclear and the cytoplasmic division. Okay, that is cytokinesis and karyokinesis, both they are completed in 1 hour. Because there is a reason, a very specific reason behind it, is that here the cell has ceased its metabolic activities. I mean, and it previously only during the interphase, it synthesizes all the you can say enzymes and proteins that are required to complete this division phase or the M phase. So it lasts for a very short period of time. So mitosis and cytokinesis actually last only about an hour. So approximately 95% of the cell cycle is spent in interphase. That is the period between the divisions or the say two mitosis. Because it is this particular stage where a cell is actually duplicating its genetic material, and accumulating all the necessary proteins and enzymes that are required for it to complete the process of division. So, the timing of DNA synthesis thus divides the cell cycle of eukaryotes into four discrete phases. First comes the M phase of the cell cycle. It corresponds to mitosis, which is usually followed by cytokinesis. Okay, it is actually the division phase. Then the G1 phase, which is also known as the gap 1 phase, corresponds to the interval or gap between mitosis and the initiation of DNA replication. Now I'll just go back to the figure again. You'll see that this G1 phase actually is the phase and this G2 phase. These two gaps, they lie between DNA replication, that is the S phase where DNA replication takes place, and finally the M phase where the distribution of these duplicated chromosomes takes place. So these are the two major events of the cell cycle, and in between the cell takes two gaps to prepare itself well, so that there is no disturbance or there is no error in completing these two processes. During G1, the cell is metabolically active and continuously grows, but it does not replicate its DNA. This DNA replication actually takes place in the S phase, which is followed by the G1 phase, also known as the synthesis phase. It is named so because DNA synthesis takes place in this phase. Here, during this stage, DNA replication occurs. The completion of DNA synthesis, that is the completion of S phase, is followed by the gap 2 or the G2 phase, during which again the cell grows in size and synthesizes all the proteins that are required for mitosis. Now, again, I'll repeat, you can see how these two gap phases are planned so that a cell can first completes the first important task of the cell cycle, that is duplication of DNA. There, the first gap phase exists, and then in the G2 phase, the next important thing is that once it has, properly duplicated the genetic material in the form of chromosomes, their distribution, their correct distribution to daughter cells is very, very important. So again, the cell takes a pause, takes a gap, and prepares itself for mitosis. Then, again, in the diagram, we have seen that special stage called the G0 stage or the quiescent stage of the cycle, cell cycle has been mentioned. Now, it is the stage, as I have already told you, where the cells remain metabolically active, but they no longer proliferate or divide unless they are called on to do so by appropriate extracellular signals. Suppose there is a damage in a tissue, say for example, in skin cells, there is an injury, there is blood loss, of course, there will be clotting of blood that will lead to the platelet-derived growth factor to initiate multiplication of cells in that damaged tissue in that area, and the healthy cells can grow and divide and compensate for the cell loss in that particular area. So that PDGF is actually an extracellular stimulus. So it is an example where in adult tissues normally the cells do not divide, but again in special circumstances and under the influence of special extracellular signals that are produced in response to special conditions, they can be stimulated to divide. So in such a case, the cells, they from the G0 stage, they enter into the G1 stage, and again they first complete the interphase and then finally divide. Now we'll talk of the regulation of cell cycle by cell growth and extracellular signals. Now, I had already told you that the cell cycle is under the influence a number of extracellular signals or factors. So, the progression of cells through the division cycle is regulated by extracellular signals from its environment, as well as by internal signals that monitor and coordinate the various processes that takes place during different cell cycle phases. Now, Suppose a cell under the influence of some, say, extracellular stimulus, say for example, growth factor, enters into the division phase. Say it starts from G naught, it enters into the G1 phase of the cell cycle, and the cell knows that it has to divide. Now, during each phase of the cell cycle, that is be it G1, S, G2 or M phase, the cell has a certain set of activities, okay, a certain processes that must be accomplished so that the cell can move to the next stage of the cell cycle. Say for example, in case of S phase, the cell is duplicating its DNA. Now, it is not just that cell is just going to carry out DNA replication and there is no check. I mean, at each and every stage of the cell cycle, say let's take again the example of the S phase only, after DNA duplication, the cell assures that complete DNA replication has occurred and there is no error while replicating the DNA. Okay. In case there is some damage to DNA, there is some error in DNA replication, the cell can spend more time in that phase. That is, after the completion of events of each and every stage of the cell cycle, the cells they check. I mean, there are checkpoints at each and every stage where it is assured that all the events of that particular stage have been completed well, and there is no or there are no errors in that. Okay. So this is accomplished by a series of control points that regulate progression through various phases of the cell cycle. Now, a major cell cycle regulatory point in many types of cells occurs in the late G1 and controls the progression from G1 to S phase. This regulatory point was first defined by studies of budding yeast, that is the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, where it is known as the start point. Okay, this is actually a checkpoint. Once the cells have passed start, they are committed to entering S phase and undergoing one cell division cycle. If this cell has entered, if any cell has entered the S phase and duplicated its DNA, it is compulsory that it is going to divide. However, passage through start is highly regulated event in the yeast cell cycle, where it is controlled by external signals such as the availability of nutrients as well as by cell size. So here you can see how the different factors, different extracellular factors, they regulate this G1 to S transition in case of budding yeast. Now, if we talk of animal cell cycles, they are mostly regulated by growth factors. Now, the proliferation of most animal cells is similarly regulated in the G1 phase of the cell cycle. In particular, a decision point in late G1, which is called restriction point in animal cells, functions analogously to start in yeast. However, as has been mentioned in the heading of this slide, in case of animal cells, the influence of growth factors is must, and that signal proliferation, okay, that specific signal actually drives cell proliferation, rather than it is, in case of yeast, you have seen that it is controlled by nutrients also. So these factors, these availability of nutrients, they do not play a role like that in case of yeast, in case of animal cells. Here, the growth factors, the extracellular growth factors, they are the prime control that regulate their cell cycle. So in the presence of appropriate growth factors, cells pass this restriction point in G1 and enter the S phase of the cell cycle. Actually, a cell assures that, because a cell knows that once it has entered the S phase, it has to duplicate its DNA and then divide. So this checkpoint is very, very important to assure that a proper cell growth that must be attained at the end of G1, that is maintained, and it has actually all those replication machinery, it has already synthesized that those proteins that will aid in DNA replication during the S phase of the cell cycle. Once it has passed through the restriction point, the cell is committed to proceed through the S phase and the rest of the cell cycle, even in the absence of further growth factor stimulation. That is, once it has crossed the G1S transition, the cell will definitely complete its cell cycle. On the other hand, if appropriate growth factors are not available in G1, progression through cell cycle stops at this restriction point only. And these cells, they actually enter the quiescent stage of the cell cycle, that is called the G naught, in which they can remain for long periods of time without proliferating. However, G naught cells are metabolically active, but they cease growth and have reduced rates of protein synthesis. So here you can easily understand how these adult tissues, they can stay for so long in the G naught phase of the cell cycle. Now, many cells in animals, they remain in G naught unless called on to proliferate by appropriate extracellular signals. For example, the skin fibroblasts, they are arrested in G naught until they are stimulated to divide as required to repair damage resulting from a wound. The proliferation of these cells is triggered by PDGF, that is the platelet derived growth factor, which is released from blood platelets during clotting and signals the proliferation of fibroblasts in the vicinity of the injured tissue. This already I have explained you. Now you can see here in this figure how this G naught entry and exit occurs before this restriction point. And if during this restriction point growth factor is available, then the cell reverts from the G naught to the G1 phase of the cell cycle, that is the interphase, crosses the restriction point, synthesizes its DNA or duplicates its DNA and completes the cell cycle. Now we'll talk about the cell cycle checkpoints. So checkpoint in the cell cycle is the critical control point where stop and go ahead signals regulate the cycle. The signals are transmitted within the cell by signal transduction pathways. Now, again, I had previously explained you that before moving on from the first part, you have seen that a cell first of all needs a stimulus to decide whether it is going to grow and divide or not. First thing. Now the second thing is that suppose it has a stimulus that it has to grow and divide, that is, it has to complete all the events of its cell cycle. The cell then has to make sure that all the important events of that particular stage are complete. So again, once a cell starts its growth and duplication of DNA before finally dividing into two, at each and every stage of the cell cycle there will be a checkpoint where it is assured that there is no damage to DNA or there is, incomplete DNA replication, so that the newly formed daughter cells do not get mutated DNA or they do not lack any genetic information. Now, animal cells generally have built-in stop signals that halt the cell cycle at checkpoints until overridden by go-ahead signals. Many signals registered at checkpoints come from cellular surveillance mechanisms. These indicate whether the key cellular processes have been completed correctly, and checkpoints also register signals from outside the cell. So these are the important cell cycle checkpoints that you can see in the different stages or different phases of the cell cycle. You can see a checkpoint in the late G1 which is marked as this red stop signal that assures that before a cell finally enters the S phase and duplicates its DNA, the cell first assures and checks for any damage in DNA during this checkpoint. If there is a damage in DNA that has been recorded during this stage, the cell will spend more time in the G1 phase of the cell cycle and initiate DNA repair mechanisms. And in case that damage is irreparable, it can induce or initiate programmed cell death so that that Iranian cell is erased from the system and no faulty cells are formed further. Then again, you can see this G2 checkpoint in the late G2. This checkpoint again regulates or checks unreplicated or damaged DNA. So here again it is checked that complete DNA replication has taken place during the S phase and there was no damage to DNA because just after G2 the cell is going to enter into the M phase or mitosis, and if there is any unreplicated or a damaged DNA, that mutated DNA will be distributed to daughter cells. Then finally, in the M phase of the cell cycle, you can see the checkpoint from chromosome misalignment. Now, if you remember the four stages of mitosis, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase, during metaphase, if you just remember the picture, you will see that all the chromosomes are well aligned in the center at the equatorial plate. Just try to remember this particular picture. Okay, suppose this is the cell center and I say it is a cell that bears total chromosome number 4. So you see during the metaphase the chromosomes are well aligned in the center. If there is a misalignment, okay, and the spindle fibers are not aligned to each chromosome from the opposite side, okay, if these are not aligned properly in the center, then there can be errors in distribution of chromosomes. One cell might receive extra genetic information, whereas the other might lack that one. So it is again before initiating anaphase and completion of karyokinesis and initiating cytokinesis, the cell assures that all the chromosomes are well aligned at the equatorial plate. So this chromosome misalignment checkpoint actually checks for proper alignment of chromosomes at the equatorial plate during metaphase. Okay, so three major checkpoints are found in the G1, G2 and M phases. For many cycles, the G1 checkpoint, that is the restriction point in mammalian cells, is the most important. If a cell receives a go-ahead signal, say for example in the form of extracellular factors at G1 checkpoint, it usually completes the cell cycle and divides. It has been seen that most of the cells that cross the G1 checkpoint, they definitely complete their cell cycle and divide. If it does not receive a go-ahead signal, the cell exits the cycle and switches to a non-dividing state, that is the G0 phase. So this restriction point is also the deciding point whether the cell is going to enter the quiescent stage of the cell cycle or it is going to move ahead in the interphase to complete the division process. Most cells in the human body are in this phase only. There are certain exceptions like liver cells can be called back to the cell cycle by external cues such as growth factors released during injury. Highly specialized nerve and muscle cells, they never divide. Now, rhythmic fluctuations in the abundance and activity of cell cycle control molecules pace the events of the cell cycle. These regulatory molecules include protein kinases that activate or deactivate other proteins by phosphorylating them. Now, once we'll talk about the molecular control of cell cycle in the next lecture, then you'll see that there are constant fluctuations in the synthesis and destruction of many, you can say, cytoplasmic regulatory proteins that synthesize and are destructed during the different stages of the cell cycle, which actually decides that in which particular stage the cell is. So these regulatory molecules are special protein kinases and of course special proteins called cyclins that regulate the activity of these kinases and drive the cell from one phase of the cell cycle to another. Now the G2 checkpoint senses unreplicated DNA, which generates a signal that leads to cell cycle arrest. Operating of the G2 checkpoint therefore prevents the initiation of M phase before completion of the S phase. So, cells remain in G2 until the genome has been completely replicated. Only then is the inhibition of G2 progression relieved, allowing the cell to initiate mitosis and distribute the completely replicated chromosomes to daughter cells. This I have already discussed also, that before finally deciding to distribute the chromosomes and entering the division phase, the cell assures that the events of the S phase are complete, that DNA replication is complete, error free, and there is no mutation in the genetic material. Finally, the M phase checkpoint monitors the alignment of chromosomes on the mitotic spindle, thus ensuring that a complete set of chromosomes is distributed accurately to the daughter cells. For example, failure of one or more chromosomes to align properly on the spindle causes mitosis to arrest at metaphase prior to segregation of the newly replicated chromosomes to daughter nuclei. As a result of this checkpoint, the chromosomes do not separate until a complete set of chromosomes has been organized for distribution to each daughter cell. That is, before starting with the events of the anaphase and distributing the duplicated chromatids to daughter cells, the cell assures that all the chromosomes are well aligned at the equatorial plate. So this is all about the introduction to cell cycle and the cell cycle checkpoints. We will be talking about the molecular controls that regulate the transition of cells from one phase of cell cycle to another in the next class. Thank you.